College basketball is ridiculous right now with NIL, and I want to break it down here looking into Notre Dame, a big program in football, a national brand, and how their unwillingness to spend is hindering them, which just shows more so the bigger landscape of college basketball. So first, the average team right now in college basketball spends over 10 million. A competent roster generally costs 13 to 15 million dollars. That's your average contenders here. And Notre Dame, a team historically a top 25 basketball program in the country, great teams under Mike Brey, just a decade or so removed from a really strong ACC program. They were in the Big East a while back. Right now, Notre Dame is spending less than $5 million, and even more specific reports say just over $3 million. This is not a way that you can compete right now in college basketball, and for Notre Dame, it meant falling there to the bottom of the ACC. This year, they were third to last in the ACC, missed the ACC tournament altogether. Georgia Tech and Boston College, the two other teams that missed. And actually, no coincidence here, but Notre Dame, Boston College, and Georgia Tech were the three lowest spenders in ACC basketball. And here's the problem for Notre Dame. So Notre Dame actually has some very talented players. Marcus Burton last year was an All-ACC player. I think he actually led the ACC in scoring as a 6'1" guard. This year he got injured at the start of the season, only played 10 games, which was part of the reasons for Notre Dame's struggle and success. But they had Jalen Harrelson, who's a 5-star recruit and part of the highest recruiting class in history. Brady Kaler, another 4-star guy. Ryder Frost, 4-star guy. They had plenty of guys that were very talented, getting him in recruits. Cole Surt is a second-year guy that really stepped up, leading the nation in free throw percentage, as well as shooting on nearly 37% on a lot of attempts per game from three. But between Harrelson and Serta, both of these guys are getting over $1 million to go play at other schools. In fact, I think some of the offers I saw for Harrelson were about $3 million, which is 5 times what Notre Dame is willing to offer these guys. And that's a problem for college basketball. I mean, I'm going to sit up here and say it's a problem because we have gotten away from the fact of just merely compensating players for what they can add to a program and how good of a player they are versus how much money they're making. It's one thing if these guys have sponsorship deals with Nike as the next it guy in pro basketball, quote unquote. But it's another thing when you're just paying guys to have a competent roster. And I think that's a problem. So for Notre Dame, Tom Noy, who's a reporter for the Irish Tribune, I actually got a chance to speak with him a couple weeks ago about Notre Dame's NIL situation. But apparently Notre Dame just is unwilling to spend more than $3 to $5 million on basketball, and Micah Shrewsbury is left to deal with it. Now, here's the problem with that for Notre Dame. You're not going to get very far out of the ACC right now. You look at the top programs, almost all the top programs are much higher in spending. Even North Carolina State, Florida State, Miami, these are teams all with new head coaches in the last couple seasons. They're spending the amount of money they need. NC State got Will Wade this year, paid him a new contract, got a new roster, and they had a tournament season. Miami, new coach, John Shire's lead assistant from a season ago, and they're in the tournament as well. And it's all about spending right now in the ACC, and I think the ACC is one of the highest spending conferences as well. So Notre Dame is having issues right now, and the fans are confused. The fans want to fire Shrewsbury. They want to get a new system in, but it's not all the problem of Micah Shrewsbury. He might be maybe one of the biggest flares of what everyone's throwing it on, but I promise that it is not just Shrewsbury's fault. He's had right now, I think his top 7 players hit the transfer portal, or a few of his top guys. More than a few. Sir Muhammad was the first one. We talked about Harrelson and Serta, Sundra, Ryder Frost, Harrelson, Serta as well. Those guys. Serta actually committed recently. Burton is headed to a in-state foe there, Indiana, who can pay a lot more in the Big Ten. Burton's just a fantastic player. So No surprise there. He's preseason All-ACC. He scored over 40 points from Mishawaka even, and I think he wanted to stay and play for Shrewsbury. He loved going to Notre Dame and the Notre Dame education from all that I was around him here at Notre Dame. But when the money difference is so stark from, let's say it's $1 million for Burton, but somewhere else can double or triple that, you have to be an idiot not to take that. I mean, I don't care how good the program is. If you're turning down double what someone else is offering you, a lot of these guys are not going to play in the NBA, and they know that. And so with that, the value is, well, like, if there's more money there, you should take it, right? You want to get your bag when you can. And Serta as well, a super efficient, high-volume three-point shooter. He was essential for Notre Dame, had multiple 30-plus point scoring games, one of which against Virginia. He shot the world on fire. He's going to Clemson, probably getting over $1 million as well to go to Clemson. And yeah, and this is a big problem for Clemson, or for Notre Dame, when all your top talent guys are getting poached. Tay Davis got over $1 million to go to Oklahoma last year as one of the other leading scorers for Notre Dame. And the future just doesn't look much better. I wrote this article this week, but Micah Shrewsbury's in a tough spot where he's got to retool this devastated roster and try to re-inspire a devastated fan base with these portal woes. And even more indicative of that is that 41% of eligible Division I college basketball players from this season, so guys that are going to be sticking around in college basketball, guys that are eligible to play another season, have entered the transfer portal. Notre Dame is no exception to this, and college basketball is just changing for the future. Right now, without rules, it seems like the Wild West, where only specific coaches are able to really succeed in this. Shrewsbury tried the recruiting hard piece, and he couldn't get his guys to stay when offered big money from other places. Harrelson is not going to be an NBA guy, but he's a great college player. He was not a good shooter this year, 20% from three, but he's a great player in the paint. He's a good wing, a guy you can really kind of run your offense through as well. He's got a good passing ability, very physical. But for him, the difference between Notre Dame's money and somewhere else is threefold likely. So you have to take that, honestly. And the future for Notre Dame is bleak because the athletic department wants to spend all the money on football. And I've tried, as a reporter here, I've tried to speak with the athletic department. They've declined my requests again and again. The basketball team has declined my request this year for the first time in my entire collegiate career here. They always are willing to talk, but not this year apparently. And it's a problem because under Micah Shrewsbury's contract, if you fire him, to actually buy a new coach, to pay his buyout, to get a new coach in there, and to buy a new roster, to sign players now, to buy a roster, or I don't know, to enough contracts or whatever we're calling it these days in college basketball, you're looking at 30, 40 million. And they're not willing to spend that. So while Shrewsbury might not be the best coach for Notre Dame basketball, he's not the biggest problem here. It's Notre Dame's unwillingness to spend. And when we look down the rest of the ACC, I mean, these bottom four teams are the lowest in spending. And unfortunately, money is king right now in college basketball. And unless there's some sort of rule changing and something else, Notre Dame is in big trouble.